Today we are using watercolor paints to paint our Jen Aranyi inspired landscape drawings. When you start painting, make sure that you think about what you know about the color wheel and how colors mix together, what you know about using watercolor paints, and just a reminder that we want to work on good craftsmanship so that we can keep our paint color above the landscape or the horizon line, and our landscape drawing, the bottom half of our drawing, is going to stay black and white without paint. When you are ready to paint, today we will be using watercolor paints. You'll need a water cup, paint, and a paintbrush. We're going to be doing a technique called wet on wet, where you get your paper wet first before you start painting. So I'm just going to carefully get some water up here above my mountains. And remember that our inspiration artwork today only has color above the mountains in the top half. So there's no paint down here. So when you're doing this, even with your water, try not to go over your lines of your mountains and try not to go outside of your frame line either. And you're gonna have to work quickly so that your paper stays wet. So I have kind of in between my mountains all wet. Then you need to choose what colors you would like in your sky. It's up to you. You need to think about colors that will mix well and look nice together, and maybe skies that you've seen before. And I'm going to use some cool colors just because it's kind of wintry and I want to do a winter scene. So I'm going to start by putting some purple onto my brush. And when you're using your brush, keep it on its tippy toes. Don't let it get squashed or anything like that. And when you put it on that wet paper, it's going to spread right away. So you can do little dots of color, you could do lines going across. It's up to you. And you want to make sure that you get color all the way in between those mountain peaks. And if you have that water on there, it kind of helps you to kind of frame around them. So I'm going to start with purple, and then I'm going to clean out my brush by touching in the bottom of my water cup, wiping it up the side, and then make sure that you get your paints wet. So I have already a puddle of water in my blue and my purple paint. I'm going to start to mix in blue now with my purple. So I'm putting little dots for this technique, and you could do lines or something else if you wanted to. Now what you can do, if you set your paintbrush down, you can gently lift up your paper, and you want to be super careful so that it doesn't go too far. You can lift up your paper and you can kind of spread that color so that it moves and mixes into each other. And because I put that water down first, it's kind of trapping the paint so it doesn't go outside, as long as you're gentle when you're tilting your paper and mixing those colors. Now once you've kind of mixed them together, you can take a small paper towel and dab up any puddles of water, or if you think it got too dark, like up here, I want it to be a little bit lighter, so I'm going to dab it up with my paper towel. Then I really like it to be darker by my horizon line or by my mountains. So I'm going to add a little bit more purple down there. So you can add another layer. Just be careful not to get your paper too wet. So we don't want it to rip. Okay, so I'm just going to add another layer here. Purple and blue overlapping to make it darker and slowly get lighter. Once you are done painting, you can raise your hand and I will come and give you a little bit of salt in your hand. And what you can do with that salt is you just take a pinch, you put it up here, and what this will do once it's dry is it will kind of make it look like there's snow in the air. So you want it only to go on the part that you painted on, and once it dries, we'll kind of clean the salt off, and it will look like it was snowing in our snow globe. Okay, and the extra salt, just make sure that you throw it away. And you can see, for example, here what happens. This is another watercolor technique where the paint kind of resists the salt, and it looks like there's little dots of snow in the sky. As you start painting, make sure that you think about skies that you have observed, the colors on the color wheel, and make sure that you are using good craftsmanship. You can also look at inspiration from our artist Jen Aranyi. Good luck!